Hello, everybody. Welcome into another edition of For Pete's Take. I'm Joey Peterson, and we're putting in work this week with the third video of the week. So what we're going to do for this special Friday episode is I'm going to go game by game with 4 games, give my little 1-minute prediction, 1 minute or less, with the spread, see who I think's going to win, see who I think's going to win outright, see who I think you should probably take if you're going to put money on this game. And we're going to start with Penn State versus Ohio State. So I think Ohio State's going to win, and I think they're going to win big. And it's not just me that thinks that. Vegas also thinks that, because the line right now, Ohio State is favored by 15.5 points. And I'd take that. I'd probably take it if it was 18. I think that Penn State got a little exposed this last weekend when they played Michigan. Now, I think that Penn State's a good team. I really do, but I just think that Michigan and Ohio State are on different tiers than Penn State is. I would put Penn State even with South Carolina or Florida if you're talking SEC. So I think Ohio State is going to win this one. When you look at what Michigan did against Penn State, they rushed for 418 yards. Now, Michigan does have Blake Corum, and he is a beast. But Ohio State's got two pretty good running backs in Mine Williams and Travion Henderson, and they have a better quarterback, and they have better wide receivers, and they also have a better defense than Michigan does. So, I'm taking the Buckeyes against their first-ranked matchup of the year, and I'm even taking them with that 15.5 point spread. Next up, we got Oklahoma State versus Kansas State, and I think this is the most interesting matchup of this weekend. I think all the Big 12s are. Week after week, we've shown that conference is incredibly unpredictable. And what I think this game comes down to is if Adrian Martinez is going to play or not. He's been day-to-day all week, and I think he's a dynamic player with his legs and can do it enough with his arm for this team to get them victories as he's given them all season long. Now, it helps to have Deuce Vaughn in the backfield with him to take some of the pressure off of him when they need to pass and also to help them in the run game. Deuce Vaughn is one of those guys who seems like he's been in college football forever, and he's a dog. He is, and he helps this team win games. Now, I do think Oklahoma State is better. I really do, but they have gotten absolutely rocked this year with injuries. Right now, their 2 starting wide receivers are out, their starting running back, and their starting center are all out with injury. However, I still think that Oklahoma State is still going to win this game. I think that Mike Gundy is too good of a coach. I think they're having too good of a season. We saw their awesome comeback victory against Texas last weekend, and they're getting 2 points. So I'm betting on Oklahoma State to win this game outright, and definitely I would take them with 2 points. Now let's talk Ole Miss versus A&M. Let's begin this one, the spread, because Ole Miss is only favored by 1.5, and that confuses me. I don't get it. They've lost 1 game, and yes, they didn't look great against LSU. They scored no points in the second half. But I still think they're a good team, and A&M is a dumpster fire right now. They're all over the media. People want Jimbo gone. They want him fired. A guy called in, Paul Feinbaum, said something about hiring a hitman to get rid of Jimbo Fisher. Punters are transferring. Players are fighting. Players are getting suspended. It's a train wreck over there in College Station. And I think if you just take away all of that, just the way these 2 teams match up, I don't think it's a good matchup for A&M. A&M ranks 102nd in the entire country in rush defense. And Ole Miss ranks 3rd in the entire country in rush offense, only behind 2 service academies. I don't think this team matches up well against Ole Miss. So I'm taking Ole Miss to win it, and I would even take them minus 1.5 points. I think that is a ridiculous spread, and I think Ole Miss is going to win this one outright and spoil the Aggies' first game back in Kyle Field since September 17th. Been a long time since they've gotten a home game, and I think they're going to have a loss in their first one back in a while. Last game of the day is West Virginia versus TCU. Now, TCU is favored by 7.5 points, and I think that's a big line. I think they're good. I really do. I did a video on them last week. I think their offense is dynamic. But an interesting stat is that in their last 3 games that they barely squeaked by, they played 0 starting quarterbacks in that game. Knocked all 3 of them out. In their 7 wins this season, 4 times they've played the backup quarterback. Now they're good. They've gotten 7 wins, but I think that's an interesting stat to keep in your mind when thinking about this TCU team. Now, again, I do think they're good. I think they're really good, but I do think a little bit part of it is fool's gold with the quarterbacks that they've been playing this year. I think they're going to win, but I don't think I would take them with that 7.5 point spread. I think that's a big line. I think they win, but I think it's by something like a field goal. Transitioning into my favorite underdogs of this weekend, I'm going to start with what we just talked about. I'm going to start West Virginia as an underdog against TCU. I love that. Next, Mizzou against South Carolina. I think South Carolina's good. I think they're better than Mizzou is, but we've seen Mizzou play Florida really well. We've seen Mizzou play Georgia really well. I wouldn't be surprised if Mizzou pulls an upset and beats South Carolina. Next, we have Baylor over Texas Tech. Baylor, for some reason, is an underdog in this game. I would have picked them to win outright. I will definitely pick them as a possible upset and a great underdog for this weekend. Iowa State over OU. I think OU isn't as big of a dumpster fire as A&M is this year, but they've got a lot of problems. I think Iowa State's a good team. They have a dynamic wide receiver. And my last is Cincinnati over USF. Another team that I think is a great team. They lost a lot of people in the draft after their awesome playoff season, but we saw what they did week 1 against Arkansas, barely losing in Fayetteville. And I know they've had a really up and down season, but I think that's an underdog to look out for. I wouldn't be surprised if 3 of these 5 teams won their games, and I wouldn't be surprised if all of them covered. So that's going to do it for this edition, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed these small, little fast breakdowns. And more than anything, I hope you guys enjoy college football this weekend, as there's going to be some great games.